This meeting is being recorded by the Conservation Commission. If any other persons present are doing the same, you must notify the chairperson at this time. Okay, not hearing anybody chiming in. Should any technical interruption to the meeting occur and the meeting is suddenly ended, it will not be resumed. And all items will be automatically continued to the next scheduled meeting date, which I believe is in January. Contact the conservation agent for more information. So calling this meeting to order on December 10th at 6:31. I'll do a quick roll call and see who's present. Travis?
Here.
Erica?
Here.
Emily?
Here.
And I, Kristen, am also here. Absent is Elizabeth, our chair. I guess our first order of business is approval from meeting minutes from November 12th, 2024.
Make a motion. to approve them.
Thank you, Erica. I appreciate it. Okay. I'll second that. Is there any discussion on the meeting minutes from November 12th? Anybody want a little bit more time to check them out? All right, well, I guess if everyone's okay with the meeting minutes as is. Emily, are you still checking them out? Okay, let's just give it 30 more seconds. I think you're muted, Emily, or we can't hear you.
Not muted.
Now we can hear it.
You can hear me now?
Yep.
Okay, great. That looks fine. Thank you.
Everybody's okay with them? Okay, so we have a motion. It's been seconded. I guess roll call to approve the meeting minutes from November 12th. Travis,
Aye.
Erica,
Aye.
Emily.
Aye.
I'm also an aye. Okay, motion passes. Meeting minutes from the 12th are approved. We do have two things on our public hearing agenda this evening. The first is a request for a determination of applicability to, the first is to construct a 6 new pickleball courts at Abercrombie Fields, map 4, lot 6A. How do we want to do this, Jessica? Do you want to do like a quick agent 5-minute intro or let the applicant introduce this? What's your preference?
We could, yeah, I believe Jeff Squire is here to talk about their plans.
Okay.
And, we can do that. And then we also had our site visit today, and I can talk about that too at that, whenever that time comes.
Sure, that works. So Jeff, you want to introduce this project to the commission?
Sure. And Christy, I don't know whether you want to say anything first, but I'm happy to just to dive in if not. Yeah, Jeff Squire, principal with the Berkshire Design Group here on behalf of the Recreation Department for City of Greenfield. And we were tasked with looking at locating 6 new pickleball courts for the city. And after a process that they had gone through vetting a number of locations, settled on this sort of open space at the southern end of Abercrombie Field, which is off of Montague City Road. And so just the larger parcel, which includes, includes an existing baseball field. There's some amenities at the north end and existing recreational facilities at the north end of the park. Some private USDA and other private properties along Montague City Road, but essentially there's a loop drive that comes in through the field. This is at the southern end of it. The wetlands that brought us here are connected to this wooded area on the western part of the site. So the buffer zone extends out into the site, into the lawn area a bit. These are just a couple of images that our survey was done just after a light dusting of snow. So the only good pictures I had without any snow on the ground were some street view, but this gives you a good sense of the site. It's this open field here. That entry drive that I was referring to is this part of the photo, Montague City Road across the front. This is the wooded hillside in the back. Currently used, for field sports and other sort of overflow activities. But this, as I said, through a sort of vetting process that the Recreation Department had gone through, looking at other properties, this was the most viable, the most feasible, given space, parking, other amenities, proximity to private residences, and a number of other things. So this was a particularly good site for to locate these fields or these courts. And so the proposal is to construct 6 new pickleball courts. And so here's that entry drive that we've been referring to. It really consumes a larger part of that field area. Again, the buffer zone extends through this portion of the wetlands, and it's 6 new asphalt pickleball courts. We're going to slightly expand that drive lane that exists now to provide head-in parking specifically for the pickleball, but otherwise the remainder of the site will be vegetated. We are proposing, as a mitigation measure for the additional impervious area, to direct stormwater to these rain gardens, which we've created, that separate the parking and the pickleball courts. So there's sort of raised entry causeway, if you plaza, that comes in from the parking. So we've separated the drainage into 2 sort of rain garden areas, just to address the increase in impervious and stormwater. These are surrounded by a washed stone gravel strip to help attenuate or address erosion concerns. And then the rain gardens obviously will handle whatever stormwater that they can handle. Their overflows go in 2 different places. This one on this side, closer to Montague City Road, has a raised outlet structure that would, during heavy storm events, rather than flooding the parking lot, would overflow into the existing city drainage system that's in Montague City Road. This one, which is lower in the site, would fill up and just spill over and do what exactly what the drainage does now, which is just fill in sort of a lower area along that wooded edge. But there's no other drainage structures proposed as part of that one. I know I spoke with Gwyn after the site visit, and I know there were some conversations about soil and depth of groundwater, and so just touching on some of those conversations. We did do a couple of test pits out there early on in the process, both to understand groundwater, but also to ensure that the design for the courts considered the soils and potential frost heave action that we don't want to jeopardize the integrity of the court. So just trying to understand all of that. But these were done with Cold Spring Environmental. Alan Weiss conducted the test pits for us. But one of the things they found, just to inform, is the depth of groundwater was anywhere from 22 to 24 inches. It's a pretty well draining gravelly layer above that. So that was one of the things he noted. So there were, these are the 2 locations that were, the test pits were dug, just to inform that conversation.
Can I just add that it looked like it was done in April, just because we're in a drought right now. I just
Yes.
wanted to add that it was before the drought when that was done.
Yes, these were done earlier in this spring. Yes, exactly. Thank you.
Actually, can we just stay here for 1 sec, Jeff? So this is what does that mean? Can you just clarify what the class 1 means? Does that mean that it's, because I know that the results of the soil borings are what's driving the stormwater management. So I was wondering if you could just one more second to explain what the results of that are.
Yeah, I mean, so, I think I just highlighted what I thought were the important thing, the takeaways, is that, they dug to, depth of 8 or 9 feet, estimated seasonal high groundwater, which is really what, we're looking for in terms of the stormwater design. The bottom of any stormwater, system, has got to be, by stormwater standards, has got to be 2 feet above that high groundwater elevation. So the high groundwater was found at 22 to 24 inches. And the test pits just referred to the locations of these. So, roughly speaking, groundwater is 2 feet below, existing grade. Soils were well drained, coarse, sandy, granular material with a good infiltration capacity. So, the bottom of these rain gardens was designed to be, 2 feet, 22 to 24 inches above existing grade. And again, the nuances of the stormwater standards are, part of the discussion here and part of the reason we submitted an RDA. So the way and this is through numerous conversations with Mark Stinson, who has advised us over the years with respect to how the jurisdiction of the Conservation Commission and the stormwater standards and how all that applies. And so the technicality is that any new discharge, any new stormwater conveyance in resource areas is then subject to the stormwater standards is the interpretation that we've been given. And so, as the easiest example, a pipe outlet into a wetland or into a buffer zone riverfront area certainly would invoke compliance with the stormwater standards. If it's overland flow, if it is bioinfiltration, that discharge, quote unquote discharge, gets a little bit grayer in terms of its interpretation. And so what we've tried to do, at least this certainly doesn't, this falls without outside buffer zone. This discharges to a closed system, is really this one on the west side of the site. And so the way this is designed is that this is the low point of both the parking and all of the grading for the courts. And so it's designed to accept surface flow up to a point where, it reaches capacity. And once it reaches capacity in the larger storms, its overflow would just do, as I was explaining, exactly what it does now, is just run overland, across the pavement, across the lawn, and into, what is a low area at that wooded edge. And so the strict interpretation is that overflow a new stormwater conveyance to resource areas. And that's up to you to decide. But given that we're trying to do as much as we possibly can for these courts, stormwater wise, this as the alternative that Mark has said is then don't do any stormwater, and you don't necessarily need to comply with the standards, which we don't necessarily agree with. That there's some recognition of the additional impervious, and so trying to manage that in a sensible, reasonable way has always been our approach. So that's the weeds on the stormwater discussion. But these are all planted with native vegetation. We've got wetland seed mix for the majority of these basins. We do have a number of woody shrubs and trees that we are also proposing around the courts, just as both an amenity to the project, but also to benefit habitat and diversity and all the things we should be concerned about. So I will leave it at that and open it up to any discussion or questions.
Can you just zoom in on the trees and shrubs real quick? Because I know our group always loves looking at those lists.
And you want the list? Yes.
Yeah.
So So yeah, certainly some of the larger trees, woody species, and then the shrubs. There's a range of, appropriate understory trees, and then most of our seeding mix comes from New England Wetland Nurseries, which is a local seed source for a lot of these sort of wetland seed mixes.
I will say just a couple comments. So buttonbush is an obligate shrub. They grow in ponds. They grow in standing water. So they like lots of water.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure about American Beautyberry or sourwood or Manchurian cherry being native to the county. Might want to just double check that
Mm-hmm.
in the Dalclina County checklist.
Okay.
And then just for buttonbush, it might desiccate unless you're thinking it's going to be very, very wet.
Sure. And I'm noticing there's only one of those, so we could certainly swap that out for.
I had a couple questions about the stormwater, and thank you so much for stating all of that background for the record. That was, I think a really good springboard to the commission's conversation about that, because I didn't see an outlet, and that was one of my questions. If there isn't an outlet, then it's, not necessarily in compliance with the stormwater standards, but it's in jurisdiction. So if under existing conditions, what you were saying is the overland flow just discharges to that low point, kind of to the northwest,
Mm-hmm.
I would assume that if you're putting in all this impervious surface area, there would be an improvement over existing conditions. So can you explain how this is an improvement over the existing conditions, even though there isn't necessarily like a TSS removal or is there
Sure.
TSS removal?
So what I would say is, I think, obviously, the new courts create some additional impervious. And so, there's surface runoff to be concerned with there. I think the big improvement over the existing condition is that currently all of this sheet flow from the driveway and any of that gravel that's along the edge just continues to flow to that low point during the larger storms. And so we're at least, one of the things this project does is at least try to address stormwater runoff from, this whole portion of the existing driveway and gravel edge along the, where parking exists now, and trying to organize that. We're certainly collecting, water and runoff from the new courts, but that's a new condition. The existing condition, I would say, is that this untreated stormwater runoff from the roadway and that parallel parking along there right now is all unattenuated and untreated, and so we're providing some treatment and attenuation for the larger storm events.
Do you have those calcs, the pre and post construction calcs for like total suspended solids and phosphorus removal?
We did not go to those depths, again, because about the question of where the Conservation Commission's jurisdiction lied with respect to the discharge, that, we were given that the scope of the project and the client for this project is, all city entity. We're trying to do the most we can with the, the resources and the site that we've got. And we didn't prepare, a full stormwater report, hoping that, through this RDA, we could have, discussion about how we're managing it and in an appropriate way. And that, we didn't need to submit full, notice of intent, which, then triggered a full stormwater, management report and all of that, because that's, quite a bit of a different, different animal than we're currently contracted for. So these were sized with, best design practices, under normal circumstances. We would include it would be associated with a full notice of intent, a full stormwater stormwater permit, all of that stuff. And I think trying to not necessarily skirt, but reference that discharge comment that the stormwater standards may not necessarily apply in this situation, if the commission agrees that we're doing, everything that we can that would comply with the typical standards.
I have a quick question that might be the same answer, but I'm just wondering on that the northwest rain garden. Do you have an idea of how much rain it would take to fill that until it overflows?
I don't have those numbers handy. I'm just trying to look at roughly what these elevations are. And so this will overflow roughly, you know, at just under 165 before the water reaches 165. And so we're, you know, 2 feet below that. I don't know what this volume of area is. It's, you know, it's at least 2 feet deep, plus or minus. So that's, you know, that's a fair volume of water. I don't know what this area is. Again, we haven't done all these calculations, but you know, it's sized, you know, for well draining soils, and the impervious area that we were putting to it is designed consistently with, you know, how we would typically design a drainage system.
Hey Jeff, you guys did an actual delineation out there, right? You're not just using Mass DEP wetlands?
No, this was using DEP wetlands.
So you didn't confirm the boundary of the wetland and the field?
No, we did not.
And how far is the limit of disturbance from the estimated wetland boundary?
We are 30 feet from grading.
I mean, I feel like personally, commissioners, I feel like that's kind of close to have not even confirmed the boundary of the wetland. Assuming it's the tree line, let's just give that an assumption. But it could potentially go out into the field, but assuming it's the tree line, that's 30 feet. Jeff, do you think the tree line is basically like the wetland boundary for the DEP layer?
It's just within the tree line. Yeah, you know, it's along that edge. Yep. And I guess I would, you know, the only thing I would add is either if it moves 10, 15 feet further to the east, it wouldn't change the design at all. It would still be a buffer zone only project. There's still, you know, wouldn't change any of the, you know, the elements of the design. You know, this discussion about a, you know, a source discharge, a conveyance, I still think would be relevant because it's at the outer edge of, you know, the buffer zone, regardless of, you know, whether this moves 15 feet, 10 feet. But yes, I just offer that.
I guess the only concern would be the city's wetland ordinance has a 25-foot no disturb zone. So
Gotcha.
that would
Yep.
be moving within that no disturb zone.
Especially for stormwater that's not in compliance with the stormwater standards necessarily.
The may or may not need to be, but
Yeah,
also may not be. Yeah.
well, it's not meeting the current standards,
Yeah.
but there's, yeah.
I'm wondering if maybe we should look at site visit photos and maybe that would help.
Yeah.
I can show you guys those. Let me try to share my screen. Let's see, share. Oh, gosh. I don't know how to do that. Let's see.
Do we have a map that shows the topography of the surrounding area?
We have some information. We surveyed, you know, just beyond the bounds of the project scope. We do have some LiDAR information and other information from, you know, the surrounding areas, but it's yeah, limited to that information. But we did look at that.
Can you guys see my Google Drive?
Mhm.
Yeah? Okay. Can you see that photo? Yeah, okay. All right. So this is walking from the road towards the back of the property, and that is the wetlands. There it shows the woods. Let's see. Oops. So this is like what was estimated to be the 25-foot no disturb zone. Just from being on site there, not from flagging, as we talked about. So that's kind of the that's the wetland right there that you're looking at. I'm sorry. Okay, so now I was standing at the edge of the wetland, looking back towards the park. And that's Gwen with the red boots. And she was about where the grading would be, just on the other side of the 25-foot no disturb zone. And you can see it's pretty flat, but there is just this most gradual incline going towards the road. I think we talked about it being maybe like a 3-foot difference from where she is to the fencing at the road. Oh wait, I think that's the wrong direction. Let's see. So now we're just to the left of what we were towards the left, towards the road of what we're just looking at. And Gwen's standing basically where the rain garden would be, the rain garden that's closest to the wetlands. And you can see the road there. So the parking lot would like come into the grass here.
Can we just sit on this for 1 sec? So
Yeah.
really, Jeff, so what you're saying is, so behind the woman in the red boots, drainage is coming down towards the photographer on that gravel path? Kind of towards the left of the photographer where that white car is, or am I mixed up?
Yes, yeah, I mean, that's the low point, right?
Well, because the parking, there's going to be more parking kind of like in this little swath. And then from the parking, it kind of like comes down, I think, into this
Right.
little zone.
Yeah, I guess what I was wondering is like, originally when you were explaining that, I was wondering under the existing conditions if there were any kind of like erosion or soil migration or rilling and gullying, and I guess I'm not seeing that other than that tire mark. I'm not seeing any poor drainage currently, unless, again, I'm wrong.
Someone had recently done like donuts all over
Yeah.
the field.
Oh,
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, somebody played in the snow.
Hmm.
okay. But do you notice, did you notice, Jessica or Christy or Jeff, when you were on site, did you notice there was evidence of poorly managed stormwater under existing conditions? I guess that's my question.
I didn't notice. It just was pretty wet, but you know, it had rained all weekend and the snow and everything, but it didn't, when I was walking, it wasn't like water was pooling around my shoes or anything. It was just wet. And yeah, I didn't notice any pooling anywhere.
Okay.
And I agree. I think it's so flat that, runoff just spreads out everywhere and, the bigger events just saturate more area, but it all makes its way toward that woodland edge.
And then, so this is back at the road. So you would see kind of the brown is where the parking would be, and going towards the main road there. So that's looking kind of east from that end. And then I walked to the opposite end to look back towards the wetland, and so you can get an idea of where that parking would be, and then the courts. And let's see, there's, I think, one more, oops. Sorry. Yeah, and then this one is just, I was standing in that same spot, but I just pivoted a little to show kind of the rest of this property here, looking towards the neighbor to the south. And that's it for the photos.
Clarify if there would be building or disturbance in the 25-foot no disturb zone of where we generally understand the edge of the wetlands to be?
When I was talking to Gwen, she kind of stood right at the edge of what they understood the boundary to be, which was just on the other side of the forested area. Let's see. Hold on, I'll just bring it up again. Kind of like just on the grass on the other side of this leaf litter. And the way she had mapped it out was that the courts would have kind of a gradient coming down that I believe is like 3 feet from the top of the courts, and that they would have additional room beyond that still before they hit the 25-foot no disturb zone. So if they wanted to make the gradient even like less dramatic, you know, so it's more gradual, they would still have even a little more room to do that and not be in the 25 no disturb zone.
Thank you.
And I couldn't tell by looking at the plans that Jeff was showing, because the original plans did not have the 25-foot no disturb buffer on it. So I had Gwen send me another set. So you can kind of see here that, sorry, these are a bit blurry, but yeah, see this dotted line?
Yeah.
That's the 25-foot. And so this is the gradient here. And then, you know, the pickleball course gradient space 25-foot. Yeah.
Thank you for resending that. That was my question too, when I was looking at the plans. It's kind of an important detail.
Yeah, you bet.
Apologies for that. Yeah.
Okay. Do you want me to bring up any of the photos again?
Could you, where was the plan sheet that had the test pit locations on it? I'm just curious how far that was from the wetland edge.
I
Is
can,
that on the plan sheets or?
I don't think it, no, it was just in the presentation I had. Just trying to estimate where,
Or if you could just tell us roughly how far that was from the DEP estimated wetland boundary?
I'm gonna say the closest one was probably 50 feet from the wooded edge. So yeah, plus or minus.
Travis and Erica, in your guys' experience on the commission, if somebody was coming forward with a project that was at like 26 feet from a wetland boundary, would that be an NOI or would that be normally an RDA?
I mean, I think normally an RDA, I think. Just because you know, normally they would come to us as an RDA, assuming that they were outside of they would be assuming that they're outside of the resource area and that an NOI would not be needed. And even if it was within the 25-foot no disturb zone, that still wouldn't make it an NOI. That would just be, a condition, that we would look at for our ordinance. It's not like a resource area or anything.
Oh, that's unique to Greenfield. I feel like whenever I'm doing permitting, it's an NOI, but you guys have more tenure on this commission than I do. What were you gonna say, Erica?
That's what I've seen.
I was just gonna say, well, at least in this project, I mean, it is so flat and really, I mean, it's mowed right up to the tree line, so it's already kind of disturbed or used or whatever.
That's true. And I was just looking back at orthos just for the record, and I went back to 2001, and it was even more mown back in 2001. Do we know for a fact this is not in bordering land subject to flood? Did you look at that, Jeff?
We
you
did look
do
at it. Yeah, it's
Okay.
not. Yeah. Yeah, we did look at that. And we looked at natural heritage also.
Jeff, you talked about there being washed rock on the back side of the courts as a pervious barrier?
Yes,
Is that what
so
you're
what we've got
referring to?
around is sort of as a filter strip around all the impervious area, because usually what happens is the water comes off the pavement and then tends to create a little rut right at the edge there. And so, and both for maintenance and just to protect that, rutting from happening, we usually put some sort of, smaller aggregate stone, and like to use a wash stone as opposed to a crushed stone. The crushed stone is sort of the gray trap rock that you typically see, and we just aesthetically like the washed rock, which is usually a native quarried material. So that's what that is.
How wide will that border be?
Yep. Was that I'm sorry, what'd you say?
How wide would that buffering area be?
I
Like
think it's a 2
feet
foot
or-
wide gravel strip.
Okay.
It's 2 feet wide and probably 6 inches deep.
And a lot of times there's sort of fences around these courts.
Yep.
Will that be the case?
Yes. Yeah, they'll be entirely enclosed with a chain link fence.
Do any other commissioners have any other questions at this time, or should we open it up to the public? All right, anybody here from the public who has questions about this proposed pickleball court? I'm not seeing any raised hands, so I'm gonna take that as a no. I would say if it wasn't for that stormwater feature, this could be a -3. But I'm a little confused.
I had a conversation with Mark Stinson about it
Oh,
too.
good.
So he was saying the same thing, that it would be a -3. But it would not be a stormwater. It would not be regulated under the commission because it doesn't have an outflow.
Yeah,
And that really our main concern, because it's sheet flow and that's not regulated or under the jurisdiction, I guess, for us. Our main concern should be, sorry, I'm looking at the email right now. Just making sure that erosion was under control and any sedimentation that was flowing into the resource areas in the buffer zone. And so he was wondering if the soils had been tested, what type of soil it was, to understanding infiltration capacity of the soil type. But it sounds like it was more of a sandy soil. I think that's what I got from Jeff.
Yeah.
Which would be a positive thing for Mark's point, because it would be it wouldn't be pooling quite so much as if it were like a clay.
Just to follow up on that, I don't think we've talked yet about the actual construction part of the like erosion controls and all of that.
Mhm.
good point.
I don't know if you could just go over that briefly.
Sure. I don't know. Demolition. Let me just see if I've got the plan set included a demolition plan. Yeah, so we do. So we've got erosion control shown basically along that entire, that wood edge, and then along that southern boundary, basically the down gradient slope of, the that entire field is where we've got erosion control proposed. We've got, a host of standard notes and requirements. And then there's details with respect to a tracking pad and erosion control barrier. In this
What are
case,
What are you proposing for erosion control? Just a wattle?
no, this is silt sock in this case. Yeah,
Okay.
seemed like this was a little bit more appropriate for just the sort of grass conditions that are there.
Is it 12-inch?
I believe so. That's typically what. So it's 12-inch, yes. Yeah.
But with straw
It
fill,
says
not,
straw, yeah, so that should be right,
okay.
corrected.
So
But
Filtrex, a filter, or
it'd be a
brand
filter,
name.
yeah.
Okay, but I shouldn't say brand names. What's the non-brand name? Compost filter tube, I guess.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, filter sock, yeah,
okay, gotcha.
but that's fine, yeah.
And what's the temporary construction fencing?
I believe it's just chain link on movable feet.
Is there gonna be any stockpiling of soil within that 100-foot buffer area during construction?
I wouldn't anticipate it. Part of it's going to depend on how the contractor wants to do this. But based on my experience, they're going to have trucks that will come in. They're going to have, equipment come in, strip off all the loam, probably truck that off site because there's really nowhere else, to store it. Because they're going to need to bring in, the new aggregate and sub base for the courts. So I suspect they'll just haul material out and haul material right back in within the same, with the same footprint, really. There really isn't much room for stockpiling.
When we think
That's
about
generally been
conditions.
pretty standard for, I think our experience with these types of court constructions where, that trucking cost is not insubstantial. So they'll try to load up a truck on the way out and have it come back full, rather than just driving empty trucks around. So it's usually a pretty cyclical process.
I was just thinking that for the conditions, we might want to specify that if there is any stockpiling or temporary, piling, whatever it would be, none of it should be within the 25-foot no disturb zone.
Or even the 100-foot, if we can do that.
Yeah, or the 100-foot.
Yep. And then maybe some of these general notes that capture that, but certainly no issue with putting that as a condition.
Yeah.
I guess a question for Kristen, maybe. When we were looking at the plants before, were you, I guess I wasn't sure if you were asking to see like an updated list before we would approve this, or
Yeah, I was actually just pulling up Dalclina right now. You read my mind, Travis. And I am not confident that some of those species are native to the county. I don't I don't even know what sourwood is. That there must be a different colloquial name for that. But I would recommend that whatever you want to do for planting, that it's native to Franklin County. Yeah, I'm not even seeing that unless it has a different scientific name.
Oxydendron is the only one I know it of.
And it's not coming up in Control F for Dalclina,
Okay.
so it's not even in Massachusetts. And then that species of prunus, just make sure whatever you want to do out there that it's just native to Franklin County. And there's a publication, Dalclina, that does it's like a county checklist, so you can check
Okay.
against that. Yeah, and then I would take a very critical eye to that Cephalanthus, just because it likes to be, it's obligate, likes to be
Sure.
really, really wet. So if you're planting Cephalanthus out there, then we are missing something completely with your stormwater management.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Yep.
Okay.
No, we don't. I don't disagree with you on that one. And yeah, we can certainly swap out the Oxydendron for something else.
Yeah, we do have, I think our agent has a list of, wildlife friendly native shrubs, but you guys know what you're doing too, because you've got good staff, you know what you're doing.
Yeah, but if you've got a local list that is appropriate, then yeah, we can certainly pick from that. That's not our bone to pick. Yeah.
So Kristen, I guess two ways we could do that is if we didn't, we could continue this to our next meeting and they could come back with a list and then we could vote on things then. Or, we could, if we decide to vote on this tonight, we could have a condition that they would need to submit a new list to us with species native to the county that we would need to approve prior to planting.
Could we do that with like administrative approval, or would we have to go before the whole commission to get that
I
approved?
think we could probably say to be approved by the agent or the commission or its agent.
Yeah, okay. I mean, what do the other commissioners think about that option?
That's what I'd be comfortable with that. And I think we've done that before, just,
Yeah. And I guess I was just specifying the to be approved part because sometimes we've
Right.
made conditions where we didn't say that we actually had to approve them, only that people
Right.
had to submit it. And then,
right,
That's a good point.
it's like, well, they submitted it, so.
they submitted and they then went planted things we didn't want.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
So, they would redo just the list and send the revised plans to me. And then would I verify the list, or would I then send it out to you all to just glance at and give a thumbs up? Or does that count as like
I think that would be a deliberation. So I think we're saying that you would just look at it and
I would
approve
just look at it and then approve
you
it?
could
Okay.
you could reach out to Elizabeth too,
Okay.
or Kristen. You could reach out to one of
Yeah.
us.
One, got it.
Or one or two. But once you reach three, then that's a deliberation.
Okay.
So
Okay.
Oh, you're so good at this stuff,
I
Jeff.
know.
You know
Okay.
all the regulatory stuff. All right, Jess, I'm gonna send you this citation right now.
Okay,
Yeah, and Jessica, if you can just send us the list that you guys are referring to,
Yeah.
then Jeff and I can just pick from that list.
Yep.
And it'll
Sure.
be easy to approve
Yeah.
then.
Yep.
I will find it.
Yeah, I think
And
I saw that on the
maybe
Google Drive
file-
somewhere.
Oh, on the Google Drive, great.
Yeah,
Okay.
there are a couple things, couple
So
references.
it's just native plants to Franklin County, is that?
That's the thing that I just sent you. That's the
Okay.
PDF. And you can get that online too. You Google like Dow Colina, Massachusetts County Checklist. It'll come up. It's a free publication.
Okay. And so
Okay.
what are you saying is on the Google Drive?
There's on the Google Drive, we have a couple resources that state, native plantings to increase wildlife habitat value. So like if you want to do shrub
Okay.
plantings that are good for wildlife habitat, food sources, that kind of thing.
Okay.
There's a couple things on there. I'm pretty sure. I thought I saw them a while ago, but I haven't looked in a while. So they might have gotten reorganized.
Okay.
I mean, we're already kind of jumping into special conditions here, but we don't know how we're voting really yet. So I'd say that's a good sign, Jeff and Christy, but but I guess just going back to like how this would still fit a negative determination. Would it fit a -3 if just given
I think it
that
would.
stormwater, that's not really a drainage?
I mean, because 3 just says that it's within the buffer zone, but will not alter an area subject to protection. It
Okay.
is in buffer zone. I mean,
And we're not approving the wetland line.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that would be a different motion.
We don't have to motion under the ordinance, it's just under the state? Because we're not in the 25 foot, assuming.
No, it is under the ordinance as well, because our ordinance has like the same jurisdiction as the state plus a little bit extra. So
So we have to vote twice.
or we can say, but for both. A lot of times we get lazy and we don't even say it, but we just mean that it's for both at the same time.
Yeah, because there's a line on the determination that says, and also a city
Yeah.
ordinance or municipal bylaw.
But when we make the motion, we should say, like, if it's the same for both, we should say it's for both. But if, for instance, there was something that we could only enforce through our ordinance, then we'd have to separate it out.
Gotcha.
Um,
Yeah, and I'm not seeing any intermittent streams that are mapped. Again, we don't have a real delineation, so I don't know for a fact,
Yeah.
but I'm not seeing anything on Mass Mapper.
I don't think there, I mean, based on my knowledge of the area, I don't think there
Yeah.
would be anything there.
Do we want to make a motion? Is anybody ready to
Sure.
motion?
Make a motion. Just trying to remember. Okay, so I'll make a motion to make a negative determination that the work described within the request for pickleball courts at Abercrombie Field is within the buffer zone as defined by the regulations, but will not alter an area subject to protection under the act. Therefore, said work does not require the filing of a notice of intent subject to the following conditions, which we will discuss, and just clarifying that that is for the Wetlands Protection Act and the city wetlands ordinance.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and we have a second. I'll do a quick roll call to see all in favor. Travis?
Well, we could
Oh,
talk
we have to
about
do this.
if
You wanna
if we
talk about
want
the
to
conditions
about
first?
conditions, just to clarify. Well, yeah, because once we vote on it, then it's like, then we're done.
Oh, you can't talk
Right.
about conditions after it's been closed?
I don't think
Not
so.
after the vote.
No.
Oh, okay, all right, good call, thanks, guys. All right, well, we talked about erosion control being a, gotta stop saying Filtrex sock, compost filter tube 12-inch minimum. That was what was proposed by the applicant on the plans. Does anyone have any alternative preferences to that?
I would say if that works for everyone, we don't even have to make it a condition because it's already on the plan.
I think that the compost filter tube is superior to a straw wattle. I don't know what our boilerplate language is for erosion controls, but Jeff, how long do you think this construction period will last?
I would guess it's probably a 3-month process.
So I guess, do we have like boilerplate language on our erosion controls that it gets inspected daily and repaired as needed? And that's the responsibility of the applicant and their contractors or something like that? I don't actually know what our boilerplate.
I believe we do have
Okay.
that language. If you want, I can bring it up real fast because I have it.
I was gonna say, I think we do have that like for NOIs. I'm not sure if we usually have that language on an RDA.
That's a good point. Let's see. Yeah, because I think this was my NOI doc.
Hmm.
Let's see.
The cat is bugging me right now because he wants me to feed him dinner. He's like standing up. Meow, meow.
Okay, so let's see. Can you see my screen? Here's the erosion and sediment controls. Yeah, so this is like prior, like a pre-activity meeting, like a construction.
And
So
this is
definitely
for an
NOI.
NOI.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's specific to silt fence.
Yeah, I mean, I would say generally in the past when we've had RDAs, we don't have much language about the inspecting erosion control.
I think we should have something in there on the maintenance of the erosion controls, given the proximity to the wetland. I know that the
Yeah.
topography is not super steep, but we haven't even confirmed the wetland boundary. This could potentially even be 25 feet. God forbid less, but I don't know. they've got notes on their plans that says
Yeah.
something similar, so, but again, if that's not part of like a special condition, the contractors might not necessarily refer to the permit plans, they're gonna look at your construction plans and your specs, which might not include this.
Yeah, I understand your point. I mean, these would appear on there, but yes, I understand your point. And it will be a different set of plans, but these would, I just brought these up because these are our standard sort of erosion control and demolition notes that do provide some, periodic inspection and
Mm-hmm.
Kristen, maybe we could just have it's kind of redundant, but we could have a condition saying that erosion control will be installed and inspected as described in the erosion control notes on the plan.
That
So-
works for me, yep.
That way it's just kind of called out like, hey, make sure you check that.
Yeah, I just know that with the freeze thaw cycle, this is a typically wet time of year. I know we're in a drought and Filtrex socks do decompose pretty quickly.
Yep.
They always get mouse holes in them.
popular for a lot of reasons, right?
Mm-hmm. And they're easy to decommission. You just gotta box cutter the netting and then just let the wood chips go.
Yeah.
I like those erosion controls a lot, actually. And then what else do we talk about? The planting plan. So then native plantings native to the county as approved by the agent or commission. Something like that.
Yeah, essentially. And then we
I-
also said just no stockpiling within the 100-foot
Oh, yeah.
buffer, no stockpiling soil.
That's right. And there won't be any dewatering, right, Jeff? There's no
There
dewatering.
shouldn't be any need for it, no.
Okay. Yeah, I can't think of anything else.
Sounds good to me.
Oh, Emily's trying to talk, but we can't hear you, Emily.
Did you mention the stockpiling already? The location? Okay.
I said no stockpiling within the 100-foot buffer.
Anybody have anything else they want to chime in before I close it out? All right, good. So we have a motion, we have a second, we have special conditions that we've discussed. We've opened it up to the public and nobody answered any calls for comments. So I guess I'll do a roll call vote. Travis,
Aye.
Erica,
Aye.
Emily,
Aye.
and I'm also an aye, so I think that'll do it. Thanks, Christy. Thanks, Jeff. We appreciate your presentation and your being here tonight.
Yes,
Thank you, guys.
all.
I'll be in touch with you, Jessica.
Okay, thank
Happy
you.
holidays. Yeah.
Night.
Right. Okay, so next up on our agenda, sorry, I've got 3 screens and my speaker is on my right and I'm always turning to my left to talk. So if my voice gets low, it's because I'm not facing the right way. Next thing on our agenda is public hearing. This is continued from November 12th, 2024 for a notice of intent, maintenance of roadways and drainage systems on Interstate 91, routes 2, 5, 10, DEP file 1680363. This is the Mass DOT bundled NOI, right?
Yes,
Do we have anyone here from Mass DOT to chime in on this, or do you have an update for us?
I have an update. No one from Mass DOT will be present tonight. So I took a giant stab at the conditions, incorporating, I took yours and then I incorporated Billy's and Mark's notes and the reporting section. Billy had reached out to, I think, maintenance, and so I incorporated their notes. And so I have 2 documents that I can show you guys tonight because there was just so much. Okay. Comments and edits. I tracked my changes, but the whole document is like
Yeah,
a forensic scene or something.
I
It's
know what
like-
you mean. I did the same thing. I shared like a track changes with Billy, and then when she reviewed it and Mark reviewed it, I was like, I'm accepting all of them because it got too messy.
Yeah, it's like really hard to read, but I wanted to provide it so you can kind of see the flow of what I was doing. But basically one of the
before-
biggest things that that Mark was saying was that we didn't want to repeat things that were already in the NOI. And they said that every NOI is going to look the same, like they're not changing the NOI from submission to submission. So, because I was worried about that, because if we remove things from the condition and then the NOI changes, then it's like we could have had it in the conditions. So anyway, I have it saved in the G Drive. I can share my screen. I'm just curious what document you want to look at.
Can I just ask, which is the one that was already there that I read? Was that Kristen's or is that
Yeah,
yours?
the one that is in the draft OOC folder that says November 5th, and that's it, is Kristen's. And then there's the one that says November 5th, Billy Lee, Jessica Siegel, and that's like the crazy one.
Has, so Billy and Mark have both chimed in and made their comments. So this is like, you're still revising it. Are we ready as a commission to look at it yet, or should we wait till there's?
Yeah, so I took like my best stab at it. I've never done this before. Like this is like brand new and it's like trial by fire to do the bundled NOI conditions.
Yeah.
I've never done conditions before. But what I did was I heard what you were saying, like I said, with Billy and Mark and the maintenance guy, and just edited it. And then I added things from like boilerplates that I thought was relevant that hadn't been touched on. And I created this OOC special conditions document that I would love for you guys to look at. You have to scroll through all like the beginning stuff that is on other conditions that we give to NOIs, like the description of scope of approved project, talks about the categories, the project site description. So I wrote all that. And then the regulated areas under Wetlands Protection Act. So I kind of went through and copied and pasted from other NOIs, like the format. And then if you scroll all the way under that, so because it's a state agency, they do not have to consider, I guess, Greenfield's Wetlands Protection Ordinance. So I noted that, and then you get to the special conditions. And there's like 36, and then it goes into the category 3 and 4. And I know that this is kind of a beast, and we can't do this like outside of meetings, right? Because it would be considered open meeting law or what have you. But I do feel like I need input from you all because I've never done this before.
I think we can do it, just not talk to each other. We can talk to you.
Okay.
Is that right, Travis?
Yeah, I mean, when we were trying to do something, I don't even remember what it was, but what we learned is that we can't all like edit the same Google Doc, but if we all sent comments to the agent in regards to a Google Doc, that's okay. We just can't see what each other is doing.
Gotcha. I
Yeah.
will just say, so I've drafted a couple bundled NOI. Well, I've done a couple bundled NOIs for applicants before as a consultant, and the commissions were like, you draft the special conditions because that's on you. And so I have drafted these before. And it's different for depending on the applicant. So like we just need to try to think about this is for routine operation and maintenance. It's not like new project work. If they want to do a new culvert, that's an NOI. That's not for this. So like routine operation and maintenance stuff, what kind of stuff would Greenfield, Mass DOT be doing for routine O&M? Like maybe culvert cleanouts or mowing and only in jurisdiction too. So like just, I guess, think about that. What is within our jurisdiction that's also Mass DOT that would be O&M, I guess. So it's kind of a broad list. I think I probably put in way more than is relevant because I wasn't sure.
Yeah, and I took out a bunch of stuff that
Yeah.
Billy was like, this doesn't apply, like snow removal,
Yep.
utility stuff, that like, we'll never do that. And then I
Yeah,
took out stuff I knew that they had put in the NOI to try to pare it down. And yeah, I spoke to Billy today and it talked about category 4 stuff because that wasn't in
Yeah.
yours. And I added that. The main thing was, I work part-time, and if there is any emergency repairs that need to happen, there's a good chance that I'm not working. And so Mark had given his blessing. The three of us spoke a few weeks ago, and he said that he could be the contact if there was like an emergency and I wasn't available, or if there's a catastrophic emergency that he's just like always copied. So I put some language in there to that effect. Because there's a difference between like catastrophic and then just like there was a big storm and something needs attention right away.
Right. Yeah, I'm glad you talked about that because I was a little confused. Like an emergency cert should not go under a blanket NOI. That would be an emergency cert. So I was a little confused about that.
Yeah, so I think that when talking to Billy today about it, because I need more clarity, I think what they're trying to do is just streamline it because in a lot of commissions, it can take a long time to get approval for something that is an emergency because people aren't always available. And so what they wanted to do is be able to have the agent sign off on it, like have the authority to sign off on it, so that they can kind of get going, I guess, and not hit roadblocks with people just not being available and not being able to contact or get through the people that are members of commissions.
Well, that
isn't that?
I think Eric
Go
and I
ahead,
are going
go
to say
ahead,
the same
go ahead.
thing.
We're all about to say
That's-
the same thing, I think. I'm like,
But that's
yeah.
how emergency certifications work, is that
Yeah.
the agent can sign off and they can start the work immediately. And
Yeah,
then
and they're
the
never
commission
roadblocks.
votes on it later.
Yeah, I mean, so I feel like that's a little bit, I mean, I trust Mark. I feel like if Mark's guiding you, I do trust him. He knows he's been doing this longer than all of us put together, but that was the only thing that my comment, I think I put a comment in the margin
You
about that.
did, yeah, like you
No
wanted to talk to Mark
office.
more about it.
Yeah,
Yeah, because when the emergency cert came through for the dam, I was reading on it and it did say that the procedure was to contact the chair and have the chair sign off, and I needed to get the chair to give me the authority to sign off. And so there was kind of a period that I was trying to get in touch with Elizabeth that I didn't, it didn't seem like I had the authority to do that without her like explicitly saying that. But I'm getting my information from like 3 different sources. Sometimes I wonder
Yeah.
if, what I'm getting is up to date.
Yeah.
I'm like in the handbook, I'm talking to Eric, I'm talking, like
Yeah.
you guys. And so I don't always know, I'm learning.
yeah,
I-
lean on Mark heavily. He's wonderful. He's super available. I mean,
Yeah, that might be right about the chair though. It's just that like it doesn't have to go before the whole commission, I guess.
I thought we talked about us like just blanket giving the chair the authority to confirm those things because of having to do it right away.
The chair or the agent?
I mean the agent, I'm sorry, the agent.
Hmm.
I thought we had talked.
remember that too. Like, during COVID. I sort of remember that too.
I don't know, but
I don't know.
Did we ever ratify that or like record that or anything?
and I don't know if it, I don't know, makes a difference how long. You know,
I feel like in
Everybody-
my experience,
everybody-
whenever I've needed to file an emergency cert, and I've done a couple in the last year, it's like 2 days. It's super fast. I don't know,
Yeah, I
maybe-
mean, what I read said like it should be a 24-hour turnaround. Like that's like the whole point is because it's an emergency.
Right. Well, that was my only comment on the draft, is that I was just a little bit unsure about that emergency cert bit, but I say just ask Mark, because he would know.
Okay. Okay, well, so we're not ready to vote on it, but I did want you guys to see what I did,
Okay.
because it is extensive.
Yep. It took
And
a whole
I-
day off to get started on that.
I've spent hours on
Yeah,
it.
it's like 10 pages, guys, just so you know.
Yeah.
It's
And the
wow.
beginning part is just like kind of going through the motions of like, this is the scope, this, and so the conditions aren't for a couple pages, but it still everything. I would still like you to just kind of read through it and yeah.
So it sounds like we should all do that individually before the next meeting, probably, and send comments.
Yeah,
And
'cause the
send
next-
comments indirectly.
the next meeting's January 14th, and I think that Billy had hoped that we could vote by that meeting. So if you had the comments to me, in the next couple weeks, I could have that time to incorporate it, and then we could just plan on that being the meeting that we vote. Or you guys vote? The royal we.
That sounds good. So we're giving you comments individually.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's in the G Drive, so I don't, you guys have access to it. If you need me to send it to you, I will do that too, but I'm just assuming that you guys can check it out. It's the OOC special conditions _ Mass DOT. That's the one without all the edits.
It's the
Okay.
one without, without all the edits? Is it the
Yeah.
one that's got red, it's in red?
So
The
I
one
don't
that
know,
says
coming
draft OOC special conditions, Mass DOT Greenfield _ November 5, Billy Lee, Jessica Siegel.
yeah, so that one has all the crazy edits on it, and it's just
Okay.
kind of like a disaster. So I pared it down to the OOC, like the first one, the ones at the top, OOC
Okay.
special conditions _ Mass DOT, just to like
Okay.
kind of clean the slate a little bit and
That's the one we should look at.
yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Yeah, that
Gotcha.
one.
Okay. And
Okay.
you want comments a week before the next meeting, or like what's our deadline?
I
here?
mean, if you guys have time to do it before New Year's, but I know it's crazy holidays, people are traveling for that, but well, I guess the 14th, so maybe give me a week. Give me a week. That would be plenty
Okay.
of time, because I feel like we're getting there.
Okay.
I wonder if the easiest way to do this would be if you sent an email to all of us and maybe just like attached, like
I can do
saved
that.
saved it as a document and attached it to the email, and then BCC all of us, so that way we would have to like take the file, edit it, send it back, or just
Right.
reply to your email and have our comments in the email.
Okay.
That way it's just sort of like
Yeah, that way nobody
that way
is-
nobody's editing in the Google Drive
Yeah.
version.
That's a
Okay.
good point.
And like explain in the email a little, because Elizabeth's not here, so
Yeah.
that way
okay.
she'll know too. And it will remember when we
Mhm.
look at it on December 30th and be like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to do this. Hopefully not, but
Okay.
And yeah, thanks for all that work. That
Yeah.
is
Thanks, Jess.
incredible.
Yeah, you bet. I hope I did it justice because yeah, I'm learning.
I mean, it's probably way better than a lot of conservation commissions would do, where they would just take whatever Mass DOT sends us and then just like rubber stamp it and be like, okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Well, do we have any more to discuss on that topic, or should I move along and close this
I think
open
you can move
discussion?
along.
Okay.
Or
don't
I don't
have
have
to-
anything
You'll
else to add.
continue it, right?
Yeah,
Kristen?
so we're
Yeah.
voting to continue, right? Do we have to actually vote to continue it, or is it just continue?
Yeah, I think every time you have to vote to continue.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion to continue
Thank you.
the Mass DOT.
I'll second that. I guess we'll do a roll call vote. Travis,
Aye.
Emily,
Aye.
Erica?
Aye.
I'm also an aye, so we will continue the public hearing for 1680363 to January 14th, 2025. Moving on to new business, it looks like, speaking of emergency certs, we have an emergency certification ratification, Greenfield ELMP Energy Dam Repair Emergency Cert. I don't know anything about that.
Oh yeah, Emily, Erica, and I went to the dam to get a update from the engineer. We did that back in November. It feels like a lifetime ago already. Basically, they have routine checks on the dams, and they had divers go down at the base of the dam, and they saw that there was a hole in the dam, and then the top of it, I think, was sagging down, and it was completely structurally compromised, and so they wanted to fix that as soon as possible, worried it would break. And the plan was for them to fix it by the end of November, and I haven't heard an update. I'm assuming it happened, but I thought I would have heard from them at this.
Don't they have 30 days to implement an emergency cert unless there's like asbestos or some kind of contaminant observed? Does that have to be done in 30 days?
Yeah, all the work has to be done in 30 days.
And if that was issued in what did you say? What was the date?
It was mid-November. So the emergency cert, let's see, it starts November 21st, ends December 21st.
Okay, so we still have 10 days.
But the engineer did say they had plans to do it before the end of November. But we did visit and we took some photos if you guys want to see it.
Did
You
they
can't
give you
see
any?
anything, but it's
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it's underwater, but
Yeah.
did they haven't, maybe do you want to like reach out to them and just remind them of the deadline?
Yeah, I was talking to Eric about it today. He said he also did not hear and that he was going to reach out.
Yeah, okay. Cool. There's another thing under new business, parcels 24, 24, 25, 24, 26. Do you still want to
Did-
talk about the dam?
Was that, have we voted to ratify that yet?
Oh, yeah, did we? It does say
'Cause-
emergency cert ratification. So I think we do need to ratify that unless you did that last meeting before I joined because I was in Hadley at the beginning.
No,
I think
Okay.
we were gonna do that
We
at our
started
meeting
after
that
that.
was canceled.
yeah, it was, yeah.
Yeah, that needs to be ratified. Good point. Okay.
So I'll make a motion to ratify the emergency certification for the dam repairs.
Second.
Any other commissioners have any comments?
Want to do discussion of it now? Of our visit?
No, just if,
This is just the ratification.
yeah,
of what-
just to ratify an emergency cert.
Then no.
Okay, roll call vote for that. Travis,
Aye.
Erica,
Aye.
Emily?
Aye.
I am also an aye. gosh, I forgot it's been like a month since we've met, and I was late to the last meeting, so I feel like it's been forever since I've seen your faces. So maybe that would be a good kind of like springboard for reaching out to them. You could give them the ratified copy and say, by the way, how are you doing? You gonna meet your deadline kind of thing.
So the ratified, is that just the emergency certification form? That's like, what makes it ratified?
Yeah, so the emergency certification, like, technically it's not approved by the commission until we all vote to approve it, which is what we just did. Like,
Okay,
they can go ahead and start the work right away after, you know, the chair says okay, but then we have to vote on. It's more like a technicality because, like, you know, a lot of times the chair will approve it and then the work gets done and then we vote to ratify it. And like, if we voted not to ratify it, like they already did the
yeah.
work. So,
Right.
you know,
And I don't
it's-
think emergency certs get recorded. So like they don't need to get recorded at the registry, right? It's just,
I don't
it's,
think so.
it's all like under the radar. So this is the only kind of checks and balance I think there is.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And I will say, DPW likes to do emergency certifications because there's less paperwork involved.
Paperwork. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it has to be directly related to public safety. And it sounds like this one definitely is. So,
Okay,
all right, cool. So I'm just gonna move on now. So parcels, next thing on new business, parcels 2424, 2425, and 2426. The mayor has authorized the Department of Planning and Development to proceed with the surplus property distribution process, with the intention of selling them to a direct abutter. The owner of 34 Washington Street has requested to purchase these 3 parcels that abut the property. Commission to decide if they prefer to retain the properties and advise mayor against moving forward with the distribution. Comments are due by Thursday, January 2nd, 2025.
I apologize,
Yeah.
Kristen. I definitely want to move on to that, but did you guys want to hear at all about the site visit that we did
For the dam?
for the dam?
Not really. It sounds like it was
I would like
structurally,
to share some information about it. If
Okay.
that's all
Okay.
right?
sure.
Unless
Sure.
there's a reason for us not to, I'd really like the Conservation Commission to be informed.
Okay.
So, I think, and actually, maybe Jessica covered it already with the summary that you gave earlier, but, just that the dam is basically, what he described to us, and this, please check me, the others who were there, was that the dam is, solid on bedrock on the sides, but there's a channel of, like dirt underneath, which is being scoured away. That's their understanding. And rather than doing any construction on the dam, what they're doing is that they're going to be filling this hole using, I'm sorry, I can't describe, but it's basically bags full of concrete that are intended for this purpose that will fill the hole. And like they're all bound together. And so that is going to plug the area that's being scoured out and that is threatening to undermine the dam. It's a long-term solution since this dam is going to soon, and whatever soon means, be replaced, taken out or something. There's been decisions about that. This is, seems to me to be a good solution for that. I know we don't have any control over it, but I really want you to know. It was great that there was no excavation that was going to happen, and the arrangement that they had to make were to have divers go in to do this work, which is pretty dangerous. So I can only imagine that getting the right personnel, having the right timing, all those things would be involved. So I'm not surprised it's taken them a while.
We actually, my company has divers out there right now doing the wood turtle protection plan. So
There you go.
we have
Excellent.
2 divers out there in literally that same section. So they should be able to find divers.
That's great to know. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, it was just a really interesting to me, especially given that there's been discussion about the dam, and I just wanted you guys to have a little more information.
Yeah, thank you. I thought this was gonna just be like I don't know, photos of a of a bridge, you can't see anything. I didn't mean to brush you aside. I'm sorry.
Nope,
Thank you for that
totally
update. I appreciate
understandable.
that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, actually, yeah, that's good because I was thinking about how they were gonna fix it, and I forgot to bring it up. Yeah, I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, that's helpful. Thank you, Emily. All right, well, going back to the parcels about the mayor and January 2nd, I don't know anything about that, Jessica. I don't know if you've got an update. for that.
Okay, yeah, that, Eric passed this to me. There's a file, I can share my screen. In the folder with a document that shows a map of these parcels. And so, can you see my screen?
Mhm.
Okay,
Mhm.
so the person who wants to buy it is this 17 right here. And these 24, 25, 26 are the parcels. And so, yeah, it's just open for comment from the commission to see if there's any reason for the mayor not to move forward. So.
Wait, are they in open space right now, or like why are we being?
No,
God.
this
Denied?
is,
It's
I,
because the river's right there, kind of.
no, I think is that why it is? Because I thought it was anytime the city is going through this type of process to sell land, I think there's like a list of boards that it has to go in front of
Oh,
to
in
just
case we
check.
want it for
Yeah, just to
conservation.
check it off and say, yeah,
Ah.
that's fine. And this happened on another parcel that was next to conservation land, and we said, no, don't sell it. It could be conservation land, and then I think they sold it. So, it's just input from us basically.
Okay.
But I think we have to like vote to say like, yes, yes, go ahead and sell that. We don't have a use for it or whatever.
It's not in priority habitat. It is in riverfront. Interestingly, that the houses to the south, like 17 and 27, have been inventoried by Mass Historical.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's
I guess I would say I don't see any use for it as conservation land, so I have no problem with that being
yeah.
sold.
It's
And like,
not contiguous with any open space that we currently control.
no.
Kristen, you said it was in Riverfront?
I think it's in riverfront. Let me double check and measure.
Is it in floodplain?
It is 100% in riverfront. I don't know if it's in bordering land subject to flood or not. I would have to pull up a FEMA format because we don't have spatial data for our region in
Yeah.
Western Mass, but
That is
It's
frustrating.
up a pretty high hill. I'm not
is
sure
it?
even if, yeah. It's right, they're right down the street from Regary's. Those kind of just open areas. And you have to kind of, yeah, you have
It
to
looks
kind
so
of go up to
close.
get to them.
But
Mhm.
it is in riverfront to answer your question, Emily.
So it's within 200 feet, but the slope is pretty.
I don't know. I can pull up a format really quick. Give me 2 seconds.
Thank you.
What is this? Washington Street. Oh, I don't like that app. I'm gonna do a different one.
Might be easier to see them from Deerfield Street. I don't know.
Oh, here we go.
Can I share my screen real quick?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Um, so here it is on Google Street View. It's like these parcels up here, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, so definitely
Wait.
not in BLSF.
Yeah,
Although my FEMA
rivers.
format is
Here's Regary's right here.
Yeah.
I see what you mean.
It's between these
And
two
then there's-
roads.
Yeah,
And that whole stretch of the river is kind of, it's like a canal, like that's all stabilized over beyond the gate and everything.
Oh, yeah, it's down, there's a
Yeah,
dam
the
and,
river
Locked
is like,
down.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's very interesting.
Oh.
My
Oh.
comment or reflection was going to be that, given the likelihood of flooding, any land that is currently not developed that's in riverfront, I would recommend, or I would think that it would be beneficial for us to
Mm.
consider recommending that that land not be developed.
Mm.
But this is a very altered area. It's obviously, it's just not an area that's gonna be where the river's gonna shift. If it does, everything's up for grabs. So
Mm.
Yeah.
A lot of burning bush.
yeah, a lot of burning bush.
I think
Okay.
recently, I know someone who lives up there, and I think this is the parcel where maybe where the city was letting them do like a chicken share thing, and they were like growing chickens there. I don't know. That I might be wrong about that, but somewhere around here, like all these neighbors were like had a big area with chickens.
Want me to do a quick share and I'll show you what I've got pulled up. So I don't love these FEMA formats, but so here's Washington Street right here. Can you see my cursor?
Mhm.
Mhm.
And then here's Deerfield Street. So I think we're just out of the flood zone, and this is the Green River right here. We're looking at like right over here between these two streets. So I think
Yeah.
there's the dam. So I think that we're outside of flood. And then just to reiterate what Mass Mapper showed, no abutting open space. Here's Mass Historical. Natural heritage layers, nothing's really on those properties. You know, it's definitely in riverfront, not in BLSF. So. It's my desktop assessment.
I guess one question I have is I don't remember if this is like a form that like the Conservation Commission has to like submit back to the mayor's office, or it on the agenda it just says comments are due, and I didn't know if that was just like, are we gonna vote and say no comment, or I don't know.
Hard.
No.
I mean, I think we could make a motion and vote to say like, the Conservation Commission has no issue with this property being sold. I mean, I think that's really all we would need to do. I think that's what we've done in the past for other properties like that.
Okay.
So I'll go ahead and make a motion to respond to the mayor's office and saying that the Conservation Commission does not have an issue with this property being sold.
A second.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion on that before I do a roll call?
I just say you can make it sound a little nicer when you send it. That's fine. It doesn't have to be word for word.
Okay.
All right, so, all in favor of denying comments for that sale by Thursday, January 2nd, Travis,
Aye.
Erica,
Aye.
Emily?
I
I'm also an aye. All right, thanks for taking care of that, Jessica.
But
There was something else on new business. Discuss canceled 2nd December meeting, whether or not to reschedule due to landing on Christmas Eve and not having a quorum.
yeah, Elizabeth brought that up when we were emailing about it initially, and so I just added it. See what you guys thought.
I think in general, around that time, we skip a meeting anyway. you know, I think the only reason we would need to have a meeting is if someone files something that we need to respond to in a certain amount of time.
We could always do a special meeting too if it's something
Yeah.
really critical, but like, I know that a lot of commissions are down to one meeting for the month of December.
Okay.
Pretty common, unless, like Travis said, unless somebody files something and they're really adamant about being heard in a timely manner, we could always do a special hearing, but usually business is pretty slow in December.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
have anything new. Today was the deadline. If we were to have the Christmas Eve meeting, nothing's come in.
Okay.
I mean, the only other, you know, sometimes we do have meetings when there's nothing on the agenda, so we can talk about all the other stuff like conservation land management things and stuff like that. So that is another legitimate reason for having meetings, but usually the end of December is not when we're doing those types of meetings.
And not on Christmas Eve.
Yeah, not on my birthday.
Oh, your birthday's
Oh,
Christmas
happy
Eve.
Yeah.
Birthday.
Thanks.
Does anybody else wanna have any additions to that discussion? Before we move on?
Go on.
All right, so the next thing is any topics not reasonably anticipated 48 hours in advance of posting this agenda. And this is again for new business. We still haven't gotten to old business, so still in new business. Anything else, Jessica?
I actually have just a question because I've been forwarded emails about the 2-year, the governor like, I don't know,
Oh,
saying that there's now a 2-year extension for all
Oh,
permits.
yeah. Did I send you that? Yeah. I
You
know we talked
did,
about the
yep, and
COVID
then
calling
Eric,
extension.
yep, and so I'm just getting clarification from you guys. Does that mean all NOIs have 2 more years for their before their expiration date?
I believe
haven't-
so.
You
And I
just-
believe it's things that are presently in place.
So what if you got, so like, say we issued an order of conditions in 2019 and it qualifies for the COVID tolling extension program and it would go until 2025 now. Does it now go to 2027? I guess I'm confused too, Jess. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm
Is that-
wondering how it impacts
Yeah.
us, like even like with NOIs, but even anything else too.
I actually haven't seen this yet, so
Yeah, I was
Oh.
gonna say, could you just like quickly
I'll
Yeah.
forward that to you guys. I'm so
Yeah.
sorry.
that's okay.
But I sent it to everybody.
I spent time in another meeting where we were discussing this for the
Okay.
DCR stewardship program and regulations regarding cutting plants.
Really thought I saved it on my regulatory folder.
I mean, but in general, that was how the COVID extension worked. It was like anything that was open automatically gets, you know, the extra time added.
So like, I guess my
Okay.
question too is like, can you like stack the COVID tolling extension on top of another COVID tolling extension? So like, if you were, like I said, I've got a 2019 order that expires now with a tolling extension in 2025. Is that good for 2 more years beyond that? Or is it only good for the new stuff? I guess I'm confused too. I'm so glad you brought this up, Jessica, because I also don't know. And
So that was the link you sent. I forwarded the email to
Oh,
everybody.
thank you. Can't
I'll
find
put
it.
links in the chat. Yeah, for the tolling period from January 1st, 2023 to January 1st, 2025. So anything from, yeah, the beginning of 2023, I guess would have 2 more years. I don't know.
Can we ask Mark to confirm that and summarize
Okay.
that for us?
That
Sure.
that can also be MACC
Oh,
has
yeah.
like a helpline you can call,
Oh,
and
okay.
I'm assuming like they're gonna be, you know, helping all the conservation commissions, you know,
Yeah.
deal with
Yeah.
that. So I'm surprised like they haven't just like sent something out to everyone, you know.
Yeah.
Definitely.
but they would probably have a good idea.
Okay.
That's good advice.
I'll
we can get
just
it all done.
follow up with you guys what I hear from
I
them.
mean, we're paying them.
Yeah.
Right.
Don't let the fire go out. Oh, no.
I don't know what you folks did during the COVID lockdowns with that first extension, but it would make sense to me to make a list of all the things that are currently relevant to this law, this legislation, so that as things come up, we can say, oh, that's been closed, you know, like by the folks who did it, or that came to the end of its period. Because all the new things wouldn't be relevant to it, and anything that's closed, so there's just this window right now that there would be certain things this would cover.
Yeah, and I think it would just be like the list that's in our agenda of open conditions and just look at anything that opened within that window or that was open within that window.
Yeah, so maybe we could just mark all of those, you know, that as if questions about them come up, because a lot of them just sit there.
Yeah.
We could say, oh, well, this was during that period, and then anything after it wouldn't have that marker, you know, just in terms of record keeping. that's all.
Yeah, I can edit that list on the agenda and, you know, mark it somehow with asterisks or
Yeah.
plus 2 years or whatever so we know.
Is this like, I mean, public information? I mean, I'm assuming it's public, but should we notify those people who are in that, or, you know,
I don't
that
know.
they have, that they have 2 more years? I mean, I don't know.
I feel like, again, I mean, just like leaning on my experience as a consultant, no one ever told me about the COVID tolling extension before. You know,
It probably would be helpful.
it would definitely be helpful, but no one told me before. I've learned this
Yeah.
like the way we're learning it right now from state websites, and I let my clients know.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I would say if there's time to notify people, that would probably, and it would be good to like, it would give us a way to like check in too,
Yeah.
you know.
That's a good point. Yeah, if there's anybody that we need to kind of peek in on, that would be a good segue.
Yeah, I'll check it out because I'm still familiarizing myself with all these active NOIs too.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'll figure out which ones it applies to, and when I'm in a lull, I can reach out to them and let them know.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks for bringing that up. We look forward to getting clarity on that soon. All right, I'm gonna move on to old business here. We have a drafted letter in support of Mayor DeZorger and the Connecticut River Conservancy's plans to remove the dams on the Green River. So we all kind of got together and chimed in, drafted a letter. Was that sent?
No, I thought we had to like approve it in the meeting.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Okay,
Yeah, I
so
think
that's what
we
we're
were
doing now.
today.
Gotcha.
So that yeah, it's in the drive, Green River Dam final.
When we've sent letters in the past, before voting on them, I don't think it's a requirement, but we could have someone just read the whole letter out loud just to like
Yeah.
make sure it sounds good, you know?
I think I found it.
Yeah.
Jessica, do you want to read it or do you want me to?
Yeah, I'll read it.
Okay.
There was just one area that I thought could be changed a little bit, but I'll read it first and I'll tell you. How do you pronounce the mayor's last name?
DeSorger?
DeSorger? Okay. Dear Mayor DeSorger, on behalf of the Greenfield Conservation Commission, we are writing to express our full support for the proposed removal of 2 dams on the Green River. This initiative represents a critical step toward preserving the ecological health of our waterways, safeguarding endangered species, and ensuring the sustainability of Greenfield's rich historical legacy. The Green River provides vital habitat for aquatic and riparian species, some of which are listed as endangered or threatened under state and federal guidelines. Dams create physical barriers that disrupt the natural migration and spawning patterns of aquatic species, such as fish and American eel, which rely on free-flowing rivers for survival. This reach of the Green River is mapped by Department of Fish and Wildlife as a cold water fish resource, CFR. CFRs are a critical habitat for cold water species, including trout, needed to meet one or more of their life history requirements. Cold water species are typically more sensitive than other species to alterations made to stream flow, water quality, and temperature within their aquatic habitat, all of which are impacted by the presence of a dam. Dams alter the natural flow of rivers, often leading to sediment buildup, water quality degradation, and increased flood risk upstream. Removal will allow the water to return to a more natural state, stabilizing flow patterns, reducing erosion, and improving overall water quality. These changes will enhance the resilience of the river to climate change impacts, such as extreme weather events, thereby protecting adjacent properties and infrastructure. Removal will restore connectivity within the river ecosystem, providing aquatic species with access to their historical habitats and bolstering their chances of recovery. The removal of the dam is a complex project. We encourage engagement of a broad team of experts to develop a plan for the waterway, which provides safe passage for wildlife, retains and improves riverbank vegetation and connectivity to nearby floodplains, takes into account sediment transport, moves the river system closer to equilibrium, and takes into account long-term stewardship and maintenance of the channel. We understand the importance of balancing ecological restoration with Greenfield's historical heritage. Removing these dams need not compromise our town's rich history. Instead, this project presents an opportunity to celebrate our region's industrial past while prioritizing environmental stewardship. Interpretive signage, historical markers, or exhibits could be developed to honor the role the dam played in Greenfield's history, ensuring that our cultural narrative remains intact for future generations. In closing, the removal of the Green Dam offers a rare and meaningful chance to align conservation, public safety, and historical preservation. We believe that this project will yield lasting benefits for the residents of Greenfield, our local ecosystems, and the broader Connecticut River watershed. Thank you for your leadership and commitment to Greenfield's environmental and cultural future. We would be delighted to provide further insights or assistance as this initiative moves forward. Sincerely, then I listed all your names.
Sounds great.
That was good.
So the part I thought could be, oh, go ahead, sorry.
No, well, I was just gonna say, just one right at the end, toward the end there. If it's if they're talking about two dams, right?
Mhm.
You wrote in closing the removal of the Green River Dam, so. it
Oh,
should-
good catch. Okay.
Well, and the other dam is like a partial removal, right?
The Mead
It's like-
Dam? Is that the Mead
it?
Dam? Or am I
I
getting
don't
mixed
remember
up?
what it's called.
Well, just keep it consistent throughout, however we describe them.
Yeah.
And then you had highlighted this earlier on.
Yeah, because I don't like that it says such as fish, because I felt like if we were highlighting American eel as like a significant species, that maybe we could have one other significant species that would.
I mean, I think wood turtles are mapped for that section of the river. Like I said, I've got two coworkers that are diving right now between the two
Okay.
dams doing the wood turtle protection plan. And then do we want binomials or is that, I don't know who our audience is for this letter, but do we want binomials?
Where does this say?
I don't even know what that is.
Like scientific names, so like for wood turtle.
Oh,
with
okay, yeah, I
10
know what
easiest
that
both
is.
the-
Oh, I'm sorry. Of course.
but maybe not. I don't know who our audience is. We don't need to get super geeky about it. I don't even know what American eel is off the top of my head, so.
Okay, so I could change that to wood turtle.
Yeah, and American eels are listed too.
Right, yeah, no, I'd keep that. I just thought fish was too, like, obviously fish,
Bland.
but
Yeah, I mean, cold water, it's a cold water fishery, so we know we've got cold water species there. American eel are listed and wood turtles. If that's, I'm like 99% sure there's wood turtles there.
You could say
Okay.
native cold water fish, wood turtle, and American eel. Because people are thinking about fish. I think it makes sense to include fish. And there's a variety of species that fall into that, all of which are threatened.
okay. Okay, so if you guys like this,
Yeah,
uh,
that's very
how
good.
do I move from there to send it? Or would someone else send it?
So we have a couple of options of how we've done things like this in the past. If all this is just like sending it to the mayor and saying like, oh yeah, we approve this, we could do that. If we want it to be more of a political statement, we could send it to the mayor and the newspaper,
Oh,
and
it's like an op-ed.
they might print it in full, as like an op-ed. Um, so that's kind of up to, and I think you could just like email it to the mayor's office, like if that's all we're doing, or you could email it to the mayor's office and the newspaper. So I don't know if anyone has any thoughts on like, do they want this to be a bigger thing, or do we want this to just be something that the mayor's office can have and say like, oh yeah, we got support from them too.
Our coverage in the newspaper from the last discussion we had regarding this, I felt like covered not everything that's in this letter, but the general gist of our support. So I'm not feeling a strong need right this second to send the letter as well. Also, I haven't heard any strong pushback, so I feel like we're doing our part by writing a good, solid, well thought out, thorough letter. And then perhaps we can revisit this if there's any need that we perceive later on to support this more publicly.
Yeah, I think the only pushback I saw was like maybe some members of the historical society or the historical commission, sorry.
Which
But
makes perfect sense.
yeah,
Yeah, I get it.
yeah,
But I really I like the wording in this letter. I feel like it is respectful of those issues.
Mhm.
So,
Agreed.
yeah. I think it'd be fine just sending it to the mayor too. I don't think this is like as big of a deal as when we were trying to get the mayor to not sell that parcel of land, and we needed to exert all political pressure that we could.
Which, by the way, that is not a done deal yet. That is
No.
still looming, so.
Yeah.
Okay, is there like a letterhead that I should be using, or do I just do it the way it is now?
I think in the past we've put it on like the City of Greenfield letterhead. And I'm guessing Eric could give that to you if you don't have that.
Okay. And then,
Maybe just the one, so I was gonna say that the one that our agenda's on, or
Oh
No.
yeah.
okay,
I don't know, is that not?
I have to open the agenda again.
Yeah, that looks
Yeah.
like letterhead to me. That looks great.
Yeah, you could just put on that.
okay,
And then we could, just to make it official, I'll make a motion to approve or to send the letter as with the amendments discussed to the mayor regarding the removal of dams on the Green River.
I'll second that. Any other discussion on the letter? All right, we have a motion and a second, so I'll do a roll call vote. Travis,
Aye.
Erica,
Aye.
Emily.
Aye.
I am also an aye. Thank you, Jessica, for taking care of that. I think it looks really good. It's really thoughtful and well written.
And
Um,
I think you can send that to just like mayor@greenfield-ma.gov. I think that goes to like the mayor's staff and the mayor.
Okay.
it's probably on the city website too.
Yeah, you can check the mayor's page on the website and
Mm-hmm.
see what email addresses they have.
Okay.
Next thing under old business is land donation, 2 parcels offered for donation to the Concom. Discuss and vote on whether the Concom would like to accept donation to protect and manage a total of 26 acres between the 2 adjoining parcels. And this is for R37-54-0 and R37-53-0.
Yeah, so that we had talked about doing a site visit and I reached out to the landowner and they said that it was in the middle of being logged and that we could do a site visit after the loggers had finished harvesting it. So I don't know the extent of the logging that they're doing, but I felt like that was a key detail.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they're like being like conscious loggers or they're just clear
Clear
cutting.
cut it all and give it to the
Yeah.
Conservation
And then
Commission.
donate it.
So
Um,
I guess it sounds like we just need to push this off a little further
yeah,
Do we have
until the
the-
logging's done.
Do we have the cutting plan on file?
no.
I've never seen it.
Isn't it in Greenfield?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you can get access to that?
All
Yeah,
notices
so-
will be sent to the Concom within 10 days of filing.
Oh,
Yeah, DCR probably has a copy of it, if we don't.
It's not necessarily relevant, but that's information that we should have access to.
okay. Huh. Let's see.
So we're just gonna push that off for now and you're gonna dig more into
Yeah.
that on your own.
Yeah, they
Okay.
said the logging will be done in December.
Okay.
So,
Fine.
that I could follow up.
Okay, cool. Yeah, keep us posted on that because I know we were interested. There were a couple of interesting tidbits about that. Hopefully it's not all clear cut.
Oh,
Yeah.
and the other thing is, I spoke with Eric about like the nuance between the mayor,
Hmm.
having the authority versus,
Oh, yeah.
so he said he'd be interested in seeing where it says that and like just getting more information on that. 'Cause as far as he knew it, the mayor had the ability to decide whether or not they sent it to was it special counsel or city council?
Yeah. So the I brought that up just because I ran into an issue with that I'm also on the Community Preservation Committee as a representative of this body. And there was a process where the CPC votes on something and then city council approves it. And the mayor's office was saying that the mayor got to decide whether to send it to city council or not.
Yeah, that's
And they did a whole legal process and found out the mayor does not have the authority
Mhm.
to do that. So that's why I brought it up. It just like rang a bell as like, oh, I wonder if this is similar to that. And I'm not sure. I think I sent the language from the like the Conservation Commission Act. Let me just look really quick here.
Could that be on the Google Drive? Is that
I
saved
don't
somewhere under
know.
like open space on the open space folder?
Maybe. I'm just looking. said commissions may receive gifts, bequests, or devices of personal property or interests in real property of the kinds mentioned below in the name of the city or town, subject to the approval of city council in a city or of the selectmen in a town. So I guess I was just pointing out that like it says city council is the one that gets to approve it or not, and
Yeah,
not
it's a 2/3 vote, right?
the mayor, yeah. So but I know there's like this whole thing where like this city has a strong mayor system where the mayor, like things that go to city council have to be sent by the mayor to city council. So I honestly don't, I mean, I'm not a lawyer, and I I think it would take a lawyer to, or a call to MACC's help hotline and say like, hey, does anyone know, how this works in a city? Because I mean, they've probably run into that before.
Mhm,
Um,
Yeah,
Definitely.
because he did reiterate that the mayor's leaning towards not accepting the land and keeping it in the tax system.
yeah, so I don't know. I would be very interested to see what MACC said about
Okay.
whether the mayor has the authority to do
Okay.
that or not. Because
Yeah.
I
I'll
thought,
add that to my list when I call them.
yeah, because I thought that I thought there was a thing that like if we received gifts of, I read this somewhere that like if we received gifts of money, that the mayor has to approve that going into our account, like if someone wants to donate money to us. But it doesn't say anything about that, with the land there.
Okay.
So I just don't know. It's very confusing, I'll say that. So
Okay, well,
Um,
I'll talk to the helpline, and then also I'll look for the logging plan. Because it might not even be something that you guys are interested in if it's been heavily logged. I don't know.
All right, cool. Well, thank you, Jessica, for looking into those things. We next have enforcement updates. There are a couple things on our enforcement updates, Coleraine Road and Conway Drive. Any enforcement updates for us?
No updates. I actually did do like a drive around with Mark Stinson, and I asked him what he thought about us reapproaching DEP about enforcing those, and he's like, there's no chance.
Yeah,
So I don't know. They're just living there at this point. Because we can't do anything, like they're unresponsive to us, and we can't take legal action as a city. And it sounds like the DEP thinks it's too small peanuts. So I don't know about removing them from the agenda. So they've just been staying there
how long have they been on our agenda for?
since I've been hired, since before I've been hired. So I don't know.
I think they were on before Mitch was here. I think they've been on for a few years.
Do we want to do anything at this stage or continue?
Sorry, I was just gonna say, I know that the Coleraine Road one was back when they built the senior center, because he apparently took fill from there, which was asbestos contaminated, and put it into his field. Is what the story
I'm
was.
surprised that the DEP and the Attorney General wouldn't want to get involved in contamination, because usually that's the trigger that gets the AG involved, so.
I'm not sure where I heard that, but so. Not sure if it was official, but.
That's definitely no bueno.
But anyway, so that's, I don't know, senior center's been done for, I don't know how many years, right?
Mm.
Been open for 5 years, I think.
wow.
Well, there are only two things under enforcement order, so. Enforcement updates, I think that's actually the shortest list I've seen in a couple of years, so. I don't mind keeping them on our agenda. If anybody else has any thoughts on that, feel free to let me know if you want us to take them off, or do you want Jessica to do anything, or. All right, I'm just gonna move on then. Project monitoring, correspondence and site visit scheduling. There's a lot of stuff under that section. Anything newsworthy, noteworthy under that?
No, no, well, let's see, actually, the Mohawk Aldi site, the 208 Mohawk, that's kind of been a hot topic with us. I did bring them erosion, like a kind of like a site visit report to fix their erosion controls for the stockpiles, or even just put them there because they didn't have any. And they said they would, and then I went back. The rains were coming. This was like the first rains we had, and I went back on that day, and I didn't see any, but they also were in a phase of their construction where they were spreading. They were like evening the ground with the soil, so it felt like kind of an unfair judgment because they were actively accessing the stockpile. But after what I've done, I don't know what else I can do, but I feel like I'm just like do it, and then they aren't doing it. So I can't write a ticket. So
Maybe in the future, when we have a project that's like that big, we can ask for an independent SWIP inspector to send us their inspection reports.
yeah, actually, Mark did send me something that East Hampton did for a big project where they made the people applying for the application, or with the people,
Yeah.
whatever, that they hired a third party to be inspecting the erosion control measures weekly, and that party had to send a report to us. So
Yeah,
they made them pay for it, hire the person.
yeah. And I don't think that is an unreasonable request. I'm working on 2 projects in Bernardston right now doing the same thing for the commission. So it's pretty typical. They should be doing it anyways. This would only be requiring that they give a copy of the report to the commission. They should be doing that anyway, put it that way.
Mhm.
So this would only
Yeah.
be a requirement saying that you got to make sure that you give us a copy, and it has to be somebody certified, like qualified to be doing these types of inspections, so that it's not just
Mhm.
some contractor who's also,
Yeah.
maybe filling out a logbook or maybe not filling out a logbook. So that was our bad. We should think about that going forward when we have a big, long, multi-phased construction project. Because that's frustrating. That's
Should we
frustrating.
consider writing a stop order or something to give some kind of teeth to our
Mm.
concerns, because we've had these concerns for a little while. They've said they would comply.
Yeah, are they
and
out of
I'm-
compliance? Are they currently out of compliance with anything in the orders?
The not having erosion control measures at the base of the stockpile, I think was one of the orders, but like I said, like when I went to see, after I gave them the site visit inspection report and I told them what needed to happen before the rains, when I went back to see if they were doing it, I didn't see the control measures, but they were actively accessing the piles, so I don't think it's a fair. Like, I have my doubts that they did it, but they also were accessing the piles, so they would have had to move them anyway.
But if they're not there now,
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I
then
haven't been
it's after
since.
the rain, so yeah.
Right.
Well, I think it's gonna rain tomorrow too. We're in the middle of a rain event. And usually for those SWIP inspections, it's a 1/4 inch of rain or weekly. And a 1/4 inch of rain is not that much rain, so the inspections can be pretty frequent. Yeah, according to my crummy phone app, which is not that great, it's gonna rain all day tomorrow and also Thursday, so.
It's a difficult time to do that if we like right now, if we say we want to, you know, send them a cease and desist order or something along those lines. We're going into the holidays and we're not going to meet for another month. But at the same time, if there's erosion happening, it's happening right now, or you know, there's sediment that these rains would be moving. So I guess another question is, do we feel like there is movement from the piles? Do we feel like there is sedimentation happening based on what's going on? I mean, we know they're not doing what we asked them to do, or what was in the
Yeah, when I
Yeah.
went, it hadn't even been raining, so I don't think there's any movement, which was kind of like,
Well-
you know, it was just like, that's why I went before the rains, because I knew.
Yeah. It's good, I think, to get baseline documentation before and after, or before and during. Do you have any time later this week to check it out and see if there is any potential enforcement ability or non-compliance or anything?
Yeah, I can swing by there.
I just drove by, I didn't drive in to see it on, I think over the weekend, and it looked like they were actually mostly gone, so, or at least the one that I had seen, so
Okay.
maybe they actually did spread it all out. Mm.
Yeah. Well, this is a lesson learned. In the future, we should ask somebody else to be our eyes and ears on the site for these types of things, because we don't have the ability to check out all of our active construction sites, and be enforcement officers.
Hmm.
So, oopsie on us. Any other things under project monitoring, correspondence, and site visiting scheduling, or anything, or is it just the Aldi's?
No, no updates.
Okay.
Kristen, before we end the meeting, just to go back, if I can briefly, to the accepting the gifts of land, I found where it has the language in the handbook.
Can you drop that in the Google Drive under open
will,
space
yeah.
so that we can find that? Because I feel like we've talked about this a couple times, and that would be handy, even if it's just a screen clip.
Yeah. So this says, sorry, I have things blocking my screen. When a parcel of land is to be donated after the title has been examined and appropriate environmental due diligence has been conducted, the commission may vote to accept the gift of land for conservation purposes in the name of the city or town. A deed is then executed by the donors, acknowledged by at least one of them before a notary public, and presented to the select board / city council by the commission for its signed approval.
Yeah.
The deed is then recorded at the registry of deeds. So I think, so going back to the whole mayor thing, the mayor controls the land in the city. The mayor's like the executive in control of city land, except for conservation land, I think. And that's why I think there's a confusion here, because I think if it's any other land, if it was recreation land, anything like that, I think it would have to go through the mayor, but I don't think it has to for conservation land.
Okay.
So anyway,
Thank you for, thank you. I know we've talked about this a few times. That's,
yeah,
I just found
I'll send that whole chapter on gifts of land. I'll put it in a
Yeah,
PDF and upload that, or
that'd be awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
and like, like we were saying before, that conservation parcel up on Poets Heat Ridge still hasn't been buttoned up, so relevant issue.
yeah.
Yeah,
And that's
are
one
there-
that the mayor does control.
right.
Yeah, so that's exactly it. So that's like a completely different situation, because that's,
yeah.
so yeah.
And it's one we really, really want.
Exactly. But that's kind of what started the whole conversation is,
Yeah.
with about the process and all of that. So thank you, Travis.
Mhm.
Is there anything else anybody wants to touch on before I start talking about the next meeting date? Okay, so the next meeting date is set for January 14th at 6:30 p.m. and that is in the year 2025, guys. I can't believe this. We are at the end of the year. And that is the end of our agenda as well.
I'll just say that I may or may not be at that meeting.
I was gonna say,
Um,
are you gonna be a father by then? I was gonna ask you.
If it's not by then, it would be very, very late. So yeah, definitely by then. Could have been by this meeting, but
I
yeah.
I plan to be there. Let me put it on my calendar right now.
I'll be in Florida, but I can zoom it in, so.
I might have to go before the Hadley Concom, but they'll put me on first, so it'll be short. And I'll let you know, Jessica, if it's gonna be, if I'll be like 15 minutes late or something.
Okay,
I think last time it wasn't so bad.
it wasn't, you came on very fast.
Yeah,
Mhm.
they were really quick. Especially if they put me on at the beginning. Okay, well, do we have anybody who
Mhm.
wants a motion to adjourn?
Sure, make a motion to adjourn.
I'll
I'll
second
second.
that.
Okay, you got it. You got it.
All right, I'll just do a roll call. So Travis,
Aye.
Emily, Erica, sorry, I'm trying to go in the order people actually spoken, but I always forget. Erica,
You know?
Emily,
Aye.
I'm also an I. We can stop recording, I guess, and yeah, it's 8:46 p.m. So good job, guys.